tended to the idea that the mushroom might be an extraterrestrial was because of this weird way in which it approaches you when you take it, that it presents itself as another, as a being with whom you can have a dialogue, and that it's loaded with all this information and imagery about alien life forms, societies, technologies, all of this stuff. I mean, if this is my imagination that can call up hours of CinemaScope movies about the histories and machinery and social relations of alien species, I don't know exactly what to make of it. I think probably we have a very parochial view of what biology is capable of, and that it's quite possible that the mushroom is an extraterrestrial, that we have possessed radio for about 100 years in some form, and our assumption then that radio is the means by which any intelligent life form in the universe would communicate with any other is probably as preposterous as somebody who believed that you would do it with drums if that's what they were into, you know. I think the major thing about trying to imagine an extraterrestrial is the problem is not to find extraterrestrials, but to recognize them. And all the extraterrestrials of science fiction and movies are so preposterously like us as to be dismissed immediately. I mean, I don't care if you do have a splayed end on your middle finger, if you are walking around with binocular vision and that sort of thing, while you're just a carbon copy of a human being. Biology, I'll bet you, is capable of things that we can barely conceive of or imagine that are living and intelligent. The first thing you have to remember when you talk about extraterrestrials is that probably anyone who could carry out a program of contact across the stars has a complete knowledge of DNA, and is therefore probably does not display the form that they evolved in on their planet of origin, but displays whatever form they have chosen to design themselves into. The mushroom looks to me like an engineered life form. It looks to me, it's almost all brain, because what it is it's this mycelial mat in the soil circulating this drug compound, which is very much like a neurotransmitter, in fact very much like serotonin. The mushroom, the so-called carpophore, is involved in the sexual cycle of the mushroom, and is just something that it can occasionally produce when it feels the need to sporulate. But it's perfectly capable of vegetatively propagating itself without ever sporulating, and even undergoing renewal of the genome by that means. So it's like it has two forms of reproduction. It's the fact that it produces spores, which are the color of that we paint spacecraft that we want to reflect ultraviolet radiation, this dark purple-black. The fact that these spores last longest in the laboratory under conditions that most closely approximate those of space, i.e. ultra-cold, dark, desiccated environments, they will last indefinitely. And then the message. You know, I mean, why should it say that? It's very interesting. See, in the 60s, psilocybin was made illegal when LSD was made illegal, because there was they swept the floor basically and made it all illegal on one day. But really there was no psilocybin. Any there was in very small amounts and probably of dubious synthesis, or maybe it was only said to be psilocybin. Anyway, psilocybin did not play a role in what happened in the 1960s. It was only in 1975, when we published this book and other people followed on, that suddenly people could grow it. And what had become, a legend, something you had to go to Huatla or further south to experience, became available to everybody. And it's interesting to go back through, like the San Francisco Oracle or Tim Leary's early books, and notice the complete absence of the extraterrestrial theme. It wasn't viewed that way. The psychedelic experience, as defined by the editors of the San Francisco Oracle, didn't have elves and gremlins and flying saucers associated with. It was basically an aphrodisiac, psychoanalytic, life-affirming, social hallucinogen of some sort. Part of the motivation of my career is to try and get people to look at this phenomenon. Psychologists, this is what I will tell the AHP when I go back there to Boston, is that something has been missed. There is a mythology, I think, among mushroom takers that of the saucer, of the animate quality, that this thing is intelligent and that it desires a symbiotic relationship with man. And it's not hard to see why, because it's a real breakthrough for a species to cut a deal with human beings. Then you come in from the cold. You're no longer subject to the vicissitudes of Darwinian selection. You've become a domesticated plant. From now on, or animal, from now on your fate is entirely linked to the fate of all the other domesticated plants and animals and their husbandmen, the human race. And so for a plant to go from a wild crop to being a food crop virtually ensures its survival into the untold future. So it's if you think of plants and animals as seeking better adaptive stances in the environment, you could hardly do better than to bring yourself to the attention of human beings and get them to cultivate you. That means when we go to space, they will go to space. When the human race leaves the planet, we will take thousands and thousands of plants and animals and bacteria and fungi and insects. All these things will go with us. We are the point species for this process of leaving the planet. But I'm sure from the planetary ecosystem's point of view, we're just doing it for all the other little furry folk and their friends, We're acting for everybody, and it will benefit everyone. So I think we're about to go. That, when the comets come, they'll find that man is just a fading memory in the fossil record of Earth, and that we are long gone.